There is a famous saying that says that history is always written by the winners, when Napoleon once said, "What is history but a fable agreed upon?" But we really have to question everything that we were taught at school or read in the newspapers or history books where the historical facts are completely wrong. The following are a myriad of historical facts that you were no doubt brought up on, like myself, but on further research discovered that they were not true. The following are 5 famous historical facts that proved to be untrue. Number 5. Hitler created the Autobahn. Many people like myself believe that Hitler and the Third Reich invented the famous German Autobahn, and that the construction work helped eradicate mass unemployment in Germany. But this is an historical fiction. A photograph taken by a German soldier, no doubt from Goebbels' propaganda unit, shows Hitler taking a spade and digging it in some sand, documenting the start of work on another stretch of the famous German Autobahn. This image typically was circulated nationwide, where the sole aim of all this manufactured propaganda was to make sure that citizens throughout the Reich knew that the building work was going on. Whenever construction started on a new section, the event was always meticulously documented and publicised, and big inaugural celebrations marked the opening of every stretch of road, with the headline no doubt saying Hitler makes the Autobahn his own. But that is where the myth ends, because Hitler could not have overseen the Autobahn since it was already in existence in 1931, 2 years before he became Chancellor in 1933. Hitler's rise to power and the development of the Autobahn did happen at almost the same time, but they occurred in the wrong order for Hitler to take any credit. Number 4. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. The electric light was not invented in the traditional sense in 1879 by Thomas Alva Edison, although he probably created the first commercially practical incandescent light. He was neither the first nor the only person trying to invent an incandescent light bulb, as a light bulb had been around years before Thomas Edison ever created one. However, Edison's contribution was to improve on it. Some historians claim that there were over 20 inventors of incandescent lamps prior to Edison's version, but the previous versions were unreliable, expensive, and didn't last very long. Edison is often credited with the invention because his version was able to outstrip the earlier versions because of an effective incandescent material, a higher vacuum than others were able to achieve, and a high resistance that made power distribution from a centralized source economically viable. Edison's version of the light bulb also improved on the filament and had a lower voltage than others at the time. The result was a marketable product that could last for hours. Of course, Edison's design has been improved on over the years. Today's standard incandescent bulbs can last for years. There is one globe called the Centennial Light in California that has been burning since 1901, well over 100 years. Number 3. Columbus discovered America. For many decades, US school children were taught that in 1492 Columbus discovered the New World. Today, few people claim that Columbus was the first European to sail to the Americas. Evidence for medieval Norse voyages and colonization is overwhelming. America was actually named after another navigator, the Florentine Amerigo Vespucci. Vespucci was the first person to recognize North and South America as distinct continents that were previously unknown to Europeans, Asians, and Africans. Prior to Vespucci's discovery, explorers, including Columbus, had assumed that the New World was part of Asia. Vespucci made his discovery while sailing near the tip of South America in 1501. Columbus thought he was discovering some parts of Asia. He also believed he'd found a new maritime route to the East Indies that would circumvent Muslim-controlled land routes and waterways. The belief that Christopher Columbus discovered America is apparently widespread. Many Americans today still believe that Columbus discovered the continent, forgetting one huge fact, the Native Americans already lived there. The first European to land in America is widely accepted by historians to be the Viking explorer Leif Erikson, who sailed from Greenland to Newfoundland in Canada in around 1000 AC. However, if Columbus is to be remembered for anything, is that he brought diseases that killed a massive portion of the Native American population, even as much as 90%, and paved the way for European imperialism in the Western Hemisphere. Number 2. An apple fell on Newton's head. The version we were all brought up on was that Isaac Newton was sitting under an apple tree when he was hit on the head by an apple. That prompted the 17th century English mathematician, physicist, astronomer and theologian to suddenly come up with his law of gravity. But that is not how things really happened. Newton was at his childhood home in Woolsthorpe Manor in 1667. While he was in the orchard, he witnessed an apple drop from a tree, but there's no evidence to suggest that the apple actually landed on his head. So Newton's apple legend isn't true, but like many historical legends, it's an embellished version of something that actually happened. So even though an apple didn't fall on Newton's head, it did start him theorising about gravity when he saw the apple falling from a tree and started thinking about it. Newton's observation caused him to ponder why apples always fell straight to the ground rather than sideways or upward, and helped inspire him to eventually develop his law of universal gravitation. In 1687, Newton first published this principle, which states that every body in the universe is attracted to every other body with a force that is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. In his landmark work, The Principia, which also features his 3 laws of motion. Number 1. Jesus was born on December the 25th. The winter solstice was celebrated by the Romans from December the 17th to 25. This yearly festival included gift-giving, family time and festivities. When Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity in the early 4th century, the traditional Roman holiday day was appropriated by the Christian Church as a parallel holiday to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Easter was already a pagan holiday, so a holiday was needed to celebrate the date when Jesus was born. So later, the feast of St. Nicholas was assimilated into the festivities, since St. Nicholas famously distributed gifts on December the 25th. By choosing this day to celebrate Jesus' birthday, the Church could co-opt the popular pagan festival as well as the winter celebrations of other pagan religions. But there are no records suggesting that Jesus was actually born on that day or its equivalent in the Jewish calendar. There's no unanimity on the official date. Scholars also debate the month of Jesus' birth. In 2008, astronomer Davis Renicky argued that Jesus was born in the summer. The Star of Bethlehem may have been Venus and Jupiter coming together to form a bright light in the sky. Other researchers have claimed that a similar conjunction, one between Saturn and Jupiter, occurred in October of 7 BC, making Jesus an autumn baby. Theologians have also suggested that Jesus was born in the spring, based on the biblical narrative that shepherds were watching over their flocks in the fields on the night of Jesus' birth, something they would have done in the spring, not in the cold of winter. So nobody really knows exactly when Jesus was born.